As Trump and Harris dominate headlines, government edges towards shutdown. Less than 60 days before the November election, the nation is eagerly awaiting for a presidential debate. The first between Vice President Kamala Harris and Donald Trump, which could shake up the entire race. But away from the spotlight, Congress has once again reached an impasse that could lead to a risky government shutdown just before Americans head to the ballot. On Friday, House Speaker Mike Johnson unveiled the GOP version of a stopgap funding measure to avoid a partial government shutdown at the end of the month, which included the controversial Safeguard American Voter Eligibility Act, a bill that would require states to obtain proof of U.S. citizenship before allowing someone to register to vote. Last month, the House Freedom Caucus, a conservative group within Congress, called for the bill to be added to the spending measure to increase voters' confidence in the election. The bill has the support of Republican nominee Trump. The approval of the stopgap measure would avoid a partial shutdown when the fiscal year begins on October 1 and would fund the government into late March, when Congress and the new president then decide on agency spending and priorities for the 2025 fiscal year. But the inclusion of the SAVE Act makes the stopgap measure extremely unpalatable for Democrats, and even some Republicans appear to find it counterproductive. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer, a New York Democrat, and Senate Appropriations Committee Chairwoman, Senator Patty Murray, a Washington Democrat, issued a joint statement last week warning against the risk of a government shutdown if Republicans force the SAVE Act into the stopgap measure. As we have said repeatedly, avoiding a government shutdown requires bipartisanship, not a bill drawn up by one party. Speaker Mike Johnson is making the same mistake as former Speaker Kevin McCarthy did a year ago by wasting precious time catering to the hard and AGA right, they wrote. This tactic didn't work last September, and it will not work this year either. The House Republican funding proposal is an ominous case of déjà vu, they added. If Speaker Johnson drives House Republicans down this highly partisan path, the odds of a shutdown go way up, and Americans will know that the responsibility of a shutdown will be on the House Republicans' hands. Two Republican congressmen who are not at risk of losing their seat, Kentucky Representative Thomas Massie, who is running for re-election in his district, and Montana Representative Matt Rosendale, who is not seeking re-election, both spoke against the House GOP's measure, as Newsweek previously reported. All this is a messaging technique and tactic, Rosendale wrote in a post on X, formerly Twitter. I won't participate in that. It's wrong in trying to get it attached, because we know it's not going to get passed. The SAVE Act and that CR, continuing resolution, will never get passed together. Talking on Fox News on Sunday, Senator John Cornyn, a Texas Republican, said it was amazing to me that avoiding a government shutdown has turned into a partisan issue. The bill, according to Dr. Jonathan Parker, a senior lecturer in U.S. politics at Keele University in the UK, is largely a measure intended to placate the more extreme right of the party and shore up Johnson's position, he told Newsweek. If he perceives his job under threat from the more right-wing Republican House members, then it could lead to a shutdown. Two Republican House members have already opposed the measure, and if more defect, then it might have to be withdrawn. Parker added that there is no evidence that there are any non-citizens voting, despite Donald Trump's insistence that there are millions, and voting as a non-citizen is already a criminal felony. Most observers see the measure as positioning from the extreme right with a clear voter suppression measure to require lengthy background information to register or vote in elections for a problem that doesn't exist, Parker said. President Joe Biden's administration has made the same point, saying they oppose the bill because voting without being a U.S. citizen is already a crime. In a statement published on Monday, the White House accused House Republicans of wasting time with extreme policies and a potentially harmful long-term continuing resolution, instead of working across the aisle to do their most basic job and deliver for the American people by keeping the government open and providing emergency funding for disasters. According to Thomas Gift, an associate professor in political science at University College London and an expert on U.S. politics, it is unlikely that the country will face a government shutdown at the end of the month. Neither party wants to be held accountable for a government shutdown so close to an election, he told Newsweek. For that reason alone, it's likely that Congress will reach a compromise albeit after a sustained period of squabbling and hard-knuckled politics, he added. The uncertainty surrounding which party will control Capitol Hill and who will occupy the White House may also push both Republicans and Democrats to strike a deal. Despite their entrenched positions, Gift said, leaders are afraid that losses in November could put them in a position where they have even less leverage than they do now.